Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sky and Evan in the morning. And today, we're going to be talking about Bacurau, a Brazilian movie that Evan seems to have really enjoyed. Didn't you, Evan?
Indeed. Out there one and hard to compare it to anything else. It's a weird movie, but it it's got that same action appeal and like sense of like community and like a small town movie that like there's a bunch of different films I could compare it to, but it feels wholly unique when you watch it. Like
Yeah.
it's got its own identity.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Brazilian Western.
Yeah, I remember seeing that as like what they categorized its genre as. It's like it takes a while for it to feel like that, but what I realized part of the way through is it's almost like, Seven Samurai. It's
mm,
just kind of a classic, uh, you know, protecting the town, but rather than going to, like, mercenaries to protect the town, it's basically like the mercenaries are the bad guys and the town just protects itself.
uh-huh.
So,
Yeah, for me, it kind of felt like Rango in a way. It would, yeah, I think Rango is probably the most similar thing in my mind that I think about it, just like the town standing up for itself.
yeah. I mean, water being another thing is
Water is a
there are
big
a
thing, yeah.
couple there's a couple similarities to that for sure, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, yeah, it's a movie for the people watching who don't know. It's a movie about the small village town in Pernambuco, the west of Pernambuco, so in the northeast of Brazil, which I guess it's important for people to know. There's like this big thing about Brazilian regions, right? The northeast
Mm.
is mostly like like that. They have the big the sertão as they call it. It's not really deserts as you can see. Like there's lots of vegetation. Like the guy even compares it to Florida, but he says, "But there's so much green here." um, and that region is kind of like neglected by a big part of Brazil because Brazil is usually
Ah,
focused towards the southeast, which is the region I live, which is kind of like the
more
economic
urban area
center.
of Brazil?
Yeah, the more urban areas, like the economic center of the country, like São Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, my city, Belo Horizonte, and so like it's the part of Brazil that's like mostly focused on, and like they even say the guy from Sao Paulo, he says, "Oh, I'm like you know, my part's basically my part of Brazil is basically European," but the Europeans don't see them as European. They're like, "You're not white," which is a genuine thing that is kind of interesting because like I'm white, but I know for sure that in Europe or other places people wouldn't consider me white, and I know for a fact it has happened to my uncle who is also white, but he's been um, approached by some racist Englishmen once because they wanted to like beat him up for not being white. So like this happens. Brazilians
Damn.
are not. It's weird the way people see. Um, a lot of South American countries kind of want to be seen as European to like not face racism. Argentina, Uruguay do that a lot. Their countries like almost entirely white because of well racism. Um, and so like it's a big thing. And I like that the movie showed that with the couple, the Brazilian couple that was helping them. Um, that they weren't considered like part of that group. They're like, you're not white. Like I thought that was great. Um, but yeah, like those regions in the Sertão are like kind of neglected by Brazil and uh the politicians and everything. Um, but it's like largely like a large part of Brazil is that like most of Brazil are those types of regions that are kind of neglected, but they focus only on the south and the southeast. So it is kind of a fuck you not only to Americans but like in general, just the way that Brazil treats it as if like um those regions are lesser than but obviously they're like a big part of just Brazilian culture in general, so I really like that. And yeah, there's these Americans and Europeans, there's a German guy and everything that come to Brazil to like hunt and kill everyone in that small town, but they end up all dying
Yeah,
because the town stands up
it
for itself.
it's so insane when they reveal that because you're so I remember sending that to you just, like, as a screen cap, like, there's this part, like, 30 minutes into the movie where a character's on a motorcycle, and then all of a sudden, there's just a UFO. You
Yeah, the
just see a
drone looks
UFO in the
exactly like a
background. I'm
UFO
like,
too. It's pretty great. I love the design.
well, yeah, they called it looking like that. I'm guessing it was CGI for the most part, but,
Hmm.
like, it's so funny how that just comes out of nowhere, just like, "Yeah, okay, I guess we have an alien drone," and then you question what is going on until you meet the motorcyclists, and they kill the 2 guys who went to the house and saw
Yeah,
that, and then you're like
to
and then
check up on the
finally you
farm.
get the
Yeah.
reveal, you're like, so a mercenary group has been, like, hired to, like, kill out/cause slash cause havoc in this town, and the reveal at the ending is that it's the politician who had, like, the music intro at the beginning,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, he the mayor of this town, because basically the way it works is there's a city, and usually there's these small towns and villages around the city that are all controlled by the same mayor. That happens a lot in Brazil. These small towns are like they have the same mayor as like the big city, and so they say that he's the mayor of
Mhm.
Serra Verde, and he's also like their mayor. So I assume
But
like
he,
Serra,
like, neglects them and has the
yeah,
whole water thing that
yeah,
so, like, they're, like, shut out of water, like, the dam? What
yeah,
was the deal with that?
yeah. The dam is it shut their water is shut off from the water that comes from should come from the dam is shut off for them, and so they need to bring in water on water trucks so that they have
Hmm.
water. Yeah.
Was that something that that Lugna did, like, as did he do that intentionally, or was that the mayor who
Oh, it
did
was the
that?
mayor.
Because he was the one
Lunga
he was
was,
the one who was at the dam.
well, yeah, he just hides out there, but
Uh,
he didn't have anything to do with that. It was just the mayor, and there's a lot of times that where that happens, where just like this small town is affected by something, but that they do it in favor of like the big city. Very common in Brazil for
they
stuff like that to happen.
they just take it to the nth degree with the whole mercenaries
Yeah.
picking people
Well,
off
yeah. I
thing,
mean, he
but
sells out the town, and it makes sense from the mayor's perspective, because it's just like, well, if they all die, my opposition basically dies, so I'm gonna have a
I
support, and
I
working out with these Europeans helps him.
I will say, was that literally the plan to just kill the entirety of the? Because they, like
Yeah.
they take them off the map and do all this, like, I were they just gonna kill everybody? Because
Yeah.
that included the kids, and that's, like, something that, like, becomes a line at one point with one of uh, the mercenaries, and I was like, "God, guys, I you're really gonna kill" the population seems to be at least, like, a couple hundred, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's a decent town. I'm like, "Holy crap, guys, you're gonna have to commit."
Yeah. Yeah, the plan was for to kill all of them. Um I think because
Um,
like in the way they imply it, like this group of mercenaries go around doing this in like cities, I think all around the world in poor countries, because they said that we've killed so many
yeah.
people you wouldn't believe.
Well, it was so funny, they have, like, kill counters or whatever, like, I found it funny just how comically they play the villains, but it works
It works,
because
yeah.
they lean fully into it, and they do not ever go for an attempt to make any of them, like, sympathetic, other than maybe that one guy. So, the, um the flashlight in the woods with the kid getting killed, that was honestly a pretty insane scene for
Yeah.
that. I swear when all the kids were, like, under the light, yeah, this is the shot. When they go under the lamp and you just see there's, like, 8 of them, and they're just all clustered together, I was like, "Oh, no." I'm like, "They wouldn't, right?" But and then they started getting let out into the woods, I was like, "Oh, fuck," and yeah, that silhouette shot of, like, the muzzle flash, like, lighting the guy, and you just see him, it's like that was one of the most memorable shots in the entire movie, and they had balls to play that just 100% straight because That's intense shit when, like, you have a villain do something that evil.
Oh yeah, and it is very funny to have one of the characters who's just like, you killed the kid. It's just like, oh, this awful thing. How could you do that? But like the entire plan
I
was to kill the entire town. But some of them like have super weird rules, like the German guy who says, "I don't kill women." Like, why do you have that stupid rule?
I don't know if that was meant to be the joke, like, to just lean into those lines, but I did find it kind of weird that the mayor and Udo Kier's character are the only ones who basically are given, like, the torturous deaths when the guy that killed the kid, he just gets, like, shot by the crowd. I was like, "Oh," like, "Okay." But yeah, everyone has these, like, lines that they think makes them, like, not evil, like,
Yeah,
they somehow, as ridiculous as it is, as these guys, like, just full out, like, wanna storm in the village and kill everybody, like, you they seem somewhat believable. It's just how they play it off.
yeah, yeah. I kind of love that. And I mean, I mentioned it's a little bit like Tarantino reminds me of that, especially the end with locking the German guy down. It reminds me so much of like the
Yeah.
idea of Inglorious Bastards, where
Well,
they
as well
skin
as
the
that
Nazi's head.
like, there's a lot of the blood effects, a lot of there's something about the camera too. You compared it I wouldn't say consistently this feels like Tarantino, but, like, there is an edge to it, and one of the parts that stood out to me was the shotgun scene with, the 2, villagers who are naked,
Yeah,
like, doing gardening. It's
it
like the
blows the
blood
guy's head off. It's a great fucking effect.
I was oh, that scene was so satisfying. I was like, "Dude, he knows he's onto their asses in
Yeah,
the back." It's it's really satisfying to see.
yeah.
Um,
He just
yeah,
has his
but
fucking penis out holding a shotgun. And then after he blows his head off, it's great.
yeah, they still standing over her, they just do not care about modesty. They're like, "Yeah, whatever."
Yeah.
There's a lot of people being naked and not caring in this movie, and it's so funny. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I so I mentioned, but my one key criticism is honestly, I think the plot is pretty thin.
Hmm.
It's only 2 hours, but I think they could have trimmed the runtime down a little.
I
Like,
would agree. I think the first like hour of the movie is longer than it needs to be.
yeah, there's kind of dead air and there's a lot of like landscape shots just
Hmm.
kind of like sticking with the villagers doing like going about their day to day, but there is a lot of it. And what I was laughing at with the whole Seven Samurai example is there's a reason why they do that. Like, you can empathize with a whole town, but you can't necessarily characterize a whole town.
Hmm.
What you can do is characterize like specific people. And they could have done something like that if there were, and Lugna and some of the other characters fill roles that are kind of like that. They go to them for help. So there is a little bit of an element of that, but I don't think you get as much character from the town. I honestly think you get more character from the villains. Like, they a little bit more about them than you know about, like, the town because there's just so many characters in the town.
Hmm. Yeah, just the character's name is Lunga, not Lugna. Just to
Lunga? Lunga?
Lunga. Yeah,
Lunga, I got it.
yeah. But yeah, I was
He
kind
w
of thinking that like because like with a movie like this, you'd expect the town to be like its own character in a way it is, but you don't have that big of a connection to like any of them other than Pacote. He's the one who has like the most character because he's like the most active force in the plot. Like he's
Yeah,
chasing everything and going to get Lunga's help and everything. So like he's probably the best characterized of the village. I feel like they could have done a little bit more with that. I do like the doctor as well, Dona Dominguez. I think she's pretty good.
yeah. Well,
Okay.
everyone is memorable. The scene between her and are you thinking the same character, like the end with Udo Kier where
Yeah.
she makes the stew? That was amazing. I everyone has personality, like, they feel like real people,
Yeah.
and it's just, like, how much they're actually, like, developed, like, I would say, like, no one in the town really undergoes any kind of arc or change, they just which, they just wanna go about their day, and then all of a sudden these people come along, so it
Yeah.
kind of adds up, but
I mean, I don't really
it's
think the movie's about like them changing at all. It's about them surviving this Americanization. Um,
yeah.
like I don't think it's just like, oh, anyone having to go through an arc. I don't think that's like necessary for this type of movie.
Yeah, it's fair enough, it's and realistically, like, I everyone's memorable.
Hmm.
Like, even if they're not really all that well developed, like, everyone like, they feel like unique people, and you can remember what they're like,
Yeah,
so
I do wish they had done something more with Lunga because he says like he left the town and he was super like well, like with a lot of
I
anger and everything. You know, he's back because things are rough. I wanted to know like what made him leave and everything.
I think that guy's performance almost made up for it. He was a standout in the
He was
movie,
great.
and
Yeah.
I love that moment where the doc as well says like you should have studied or something like that, and like it almost implies that like he had a different like path he was going down
Oh
earlier
yeah,
in
he
life,
says,
and then
"You write really well. You should have stuck to that."
yeah, it's it's interesting to give him that almost like he had a different path he could have taken in life, and he just stuck with like what he did, and
Yeah,
became a bit of a grunt. Amazing at the end there with the machete, like, he goes full feral, and it's
oh
amazing.
yeah, he is fucking pissed. It's great. I do kind of. It is such a like that ending is so cathartic to see these genuinely like garbage people just being slaughtered by the town. It is really fun.
Well, the 3rd act is amazing. It's, like, it's full out Western showdown, just
Yeah,
all the bad guys storming the town is empty, and it's like,
empty.
"What's that all about?"
It is a
And
hundred
then
percent empty. It's great, and they're just like walking. And I love there's no music. We're just watching them talk to each other. Like, where is everyone? And they're just watching and watching, and then they shoot at the school, and then they shot back and they die. It's great.
yeah, I love that shot where, like, all the kids and everyone is just, like, laying low, and you just get those few bullet holes and, like, "Keep quiet," and then finally, like, everybody with a gun, it's like all the adults start firing. Amazing stuff.
Yeah. Genuinely, I think it's just a really good movie because I was when I first watched it I didn't enjoy it all that much. I don't remember why. I just didn't think it was that great. But this time I genuinely think it was like a really really good movie. And it's kind of different, right, from like the Brazilian movies you see get popular. This feels like a movie that like is all about like like I said, it's kind of like defending Brazil in a way, you know? It's being a
Well, you
movie about how Brazil is standing up to like all these people that want to sell, you know, our identity. Because a lot of politicians are trying to do that. They
well,
try
you
to
said it,
appeal
like, the
to Europeans.
Americanization of
Yeah,
Brazil. It's kinda like the sense of, like, the city coming in and taking over for, like, the
yeah,
small towns and the people that are, like, not represented as, like, well, by the cities and by the bigger areas.
yeah, exactly. It's I mean, personally, I haven't like faced this because I live in such a fucking urban area. I live in a city with like over 3 million people. Uh, in the southeast, but it is just nice to see a movie like this that is just like celebrating our own culture without like because there is a big push to make Brazil more American, and that has happened for years. There was a Brazil used to be a dictatorship, um, in the 60s and 70s. From I think
Oh,
1960 to 1988 was a dictatorship.
with a king? Or what was the
No, it
dictatorship?
was a military dictatorship. There was like
Ah,
a president, and he was in charge for like many years. He shouldn't have been for more than 8, considering how laws work, but he was. And the military was basically controlling the government. There was a bunch of generals and everything. And
when did that dissolve, or when did that
in
change?
'88, that's when it changed. The first open election, as they call it. Um,
Oh. That's pretty recent.
It
Wow, I
is
didn't know
pretty
about that.
recent.
Yeah, big
There's a
part of it.
movie actually about that came out this year that is really good, a Brazilian movie. I might recommend that at some point. It's well, you may have
Cool.
actually heard of it because the main actress has been nominated for a Golden Globe.
What's the name of the movie?
It's I'm Still Here. It's a really good
That
movie
does
about the
ring.
dictatorship.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I've heard of this. Yeah, the actress. Yeah, I know very little about this movie, but yeah, that was one that I'd heard for the performance. That's
Yeah, she
uh,
is really good, and she's the daughter of like a legendary Brazilian actress too. So it's kind of cool. Um, Nepotism working, I guess. But yeah, um, but yeah. And especially during the dictatorship, Brazil was kind of like getting involved in some weird shit of like. Well, firstly, they were trying to like drown out all the like communists and everything during Cold War. It was basically trying to be America. It was kind of weird, and the 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 when Brazil walked out of that, uh, it felt like Brazil was just like, oh, we need to be like America. We need to be a democracy, a republic, a republic. But it kind of like not. It felt like Brazil was always been trying to be America in a way, and I just like a movie that is just like, no, our culture is more that shouldn't be drowned out by America, shouldn't be dissolved by America. So I just think it's cool from that aspect.
and honestly pretty hilarious for like the vehicle for that story to just be like a classic Western tale
Hmm.
of a town sticking up for itself. It's that sense
Very
of a classic
America.
story working well for that type of
Uh-huh.
message that they're going for.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's basically just a modern Brazilian Western. It's really cool. And I do like as well. The movie's set in like the near future, in this like dystopic
Yeah,
future. Is
well,
because I don't know if you
it's so
probably didn't notice, but there was a moment on TV that they showed that there are public executions happening. The TV shows up in the background.
really.
Yeah, TV shows up in the background, but it says like public executions starting in 2 hours or something.
Uh,
I was like,
so
oh,
yeah,
okay.
like
There's a little world
potentially
building.
semi-dystopian, like
Yeah,
maybe countries are starting to fall, and that's why like the bad guys can get away with this shit.
yeah, exactly. So I kind of like
Well,
that type of world building. I thought that was pretty cool.
well, the phones were another interesting one. The phones were like clear. I always love that, like when they want to go like even more futuristic than like what we have now, they just go full glass and like you can see through.
Hmm.
But they also had the earpieces that are like, those seem to be like translators. Like they could just translate Portuguese to English and like in your ear. And I looked it up. Apparently, those things like kind of exist now, but they're not that good. So they're like Snowpiercer had technology that was similar to that too. So it's like it's funny to just those little bits of futuristic
Hmm.
technology,
I
but
mean, yeah,
that's
the
what it is. It's
drone
like
and everything.
some years in the future. It's like
Yeah,
what, like 5, 10. It's like, and whatever, just sort of future.
yeah. I like when stuff does like that. Just like in a few years, that you don't need to say exactly what year it is. I do think it just has a really cool world building. Just like it's so weird. I don't know. It's because this entire like faction, like the mercenaries that just want to kill. Like they just one of the guys says, "I'm here for the body count." Like I assume they signed up for this just so they could like kill people, and they're all like, "Oh, I love shooting." And you made fun of that the girl and the guy who shot
The
the two
field.
people in the car, and they started fucking. Or like, well, yeah, that seemed to really be getting you there. I was about to say,
I was laughing my head off. They killed two people that are trying to escape the village, and they're in the field. They're like, "That was so much fun!" And like, you want to fuck? I'm like, Jesus Christ!
yeah,
Shooting up townspeople gets you on. It's like, okay, got it.
yeah,
But again, that's why, like, as silly of a premise as the villains are, like how cartoonish they come across, they let they just completely lean into it. They're like, yeah, these are the bad guys of this movie. They're insane, but you know what? Like, it's what we're sticking with.
yeah.
I Small thing, by the way, I wish someone destroyed the drone. That drone where, like, they kept using that and it
Uh,
got, like, people killed directly. I was hoping someone would, like, grab it or, like and, like, smash it to the ground.
well, it's kind of
And then
weird, right? Because like the faction continues existing. I thought they would like storm like their facility or something, and like that would be the end of the movie, like killing the company that's doing all this killing around the world. But they just kind of like they kill the killers who went there, and that's the movie ends. Like it kind of feels like it's kind of lacking a conclusion. I kind of get it though, because like from the world building standpoint, this is just like a thing that happens and they just stood their ground and survived it. But from like
what was
a
the impl
standpoint of like a story, it's just like, oh yeah, this is gonna continue happening. You saved your own town, but like other towns are still um like victim to this.
well, did there, oh, I lost my train of thought. Oh, I was gonna say, I thought that, I thought the implication was that Uruk-hai would, like, just collected mercenaries for it and that, like, they were hired by the mayor of the town? Was that
No,
what
no,
they were
no.
going for?
They
Or
made a deal with the mayor, but this is the kind of thing where like they have a basically a company that goes around the world doing these killings, and these mercenaries work for that company. So like they say there's more, the German guy says there's more of us, this isn't the end and everything. So like
oh, that's the last line, "This is only the beginning."
yeah, exactly.
That's probably to, like, be, like, sequel set up in large part too, so
Oh, yeah, it
which
doesn't I don't think I don't know, it'd be weird to make a sequel, but I kind of like this universe. I don't know if Kleber Mendonça Filho, the director, would make a sequel, but who knows?
yeah.
Is he working on something actually? Let me check.
I saw that he'd made a movie, I think in 2016 that got really good reception, and I'm curious to check his other stuff out. Another thing that is insane, apparently the budget for this movie was 1.6 million.
Yeah,
Like, it really low budget, it didn't make all that much money, but it looks like it looks like it at least made its budget back, but, like,
it got pretty
I
popular in Brazil at least.
clearly, the clearly, like, most of this was shot on location in an
Hmm.
actual town that was used, and, there's not that big of a cast or, like, all that much that's expensive to buy, but it looks really good, and it's a full 2-hour runtime and doesn't feel like it's limited by money. They just
Yeah,
work well with what they have and make a good movie.
it is interesting with like Brazilian movies that they can do a lot with a smaller budget. It's a kind of a common trend. If you watch Brazilian movies, it's just like, oh wow, this cost this little, and they always look really good. Part of it is obviously because Brazil has like a fund from the culture ministry, so like they fund these projects, and so it's obviously easier to get all the paperwork and like shooting a location and everything like that. It doesn't obviously cost as much. In America, I know it's a lot harder, especially in LA, to like, oh, we want to shoot on location, and it's like all the hassle
Yeah.
and it costs a lot and everything. So in Brazil there's like um some laws and everything to help make that easier. So yeah, Brazilian movies are usually like, they usually don't cost that much. And I mean, yeah, it was like, what you said,
Hmm.
1.6 million, right? And I mean, it
I
looks
was
really
yeah.
good. It looks like if this movie was made in America, it would cost at least 20 million. So yeah.
Oh, yeah, with hands down. I think it'd probably be closer to, like, 60 million, and again, it's just awful budgeting it right now in just a general modern
Yeah, I mean
context, but
that's a
yeah.
conversation we have often, but like the way movies are going nowadays in Hollywood, they cost way too much. It's not sustainable. Like we were talking about, was it Andor season 2 is gonna cost $290 million? Like that's never gonna
Yeah.
make its money back. Like it's a TV show. You're not gonna sell
What's
$290 million worth of Disney Plus subscriptions off of this show.
Well, what I always laugh at is we're creeping towards half a billion, and, like, we've already hit quarter billion dollars. It's like a movie is worth a quarter of $1 billion. I'm like, is any movie worth that much? I'm like, I don't think so. I think we just need to be budgeting better because so many movies have proven that you don't need that much money to make a good movie.
Yeah.
So is the money just there to make sure that the quality is there, or are people just not budgeting their movies right?
Yeah, I mean there is something to be said about just the way Marvel and Disney in general do the budgeting of their movies. That's really weird because movies with a lot smaller budgets do like look just as good and cost like a fraction of the budget. It's really really odd.
Make make 10 $10 million movies rather than one $100 million movies.
Yeah,
I'm totally for that.
I agree. You mentioned that. I was just like, oh man, fucking Jason Blum. He had the right idea. He's just like, I'm gonna make a bunch of really cheap horror movies. Horror movies sell, so if just a few of them make a lot of money, then it pays for all of them. And he, by doing that, ended up producing a lot of really good movies. A lot of trash as well, but like, he's getting a lot of these filmmakers' voices out there. Like fucking Mike Flanagan worked with Jason Blum. Scott Derrickson, a bunch of famous horror
Yeah.
directors.
Get
Well,
the right filmmakers involved, basically.
yeah,
And that's the
that's
other thing that I love about small budget movies and movies like this is you can just tell that everyone involved cared
hmm
and made the movie they wanted because it's such an out there concept and they they have to lean into the premise so much, but it's just a testament to the filmmaking and everyone involved.
yeah. I mean, when you watch this movie, you can tell everyone loved making it. Um, I do think it's kind of funny, like when you went to hire the foreign actors, you're just like, so you're gonna play the the part of a European who's trying to destroy Brazil, who hates our country and who loves being white. Like, okay, that's a fun part.
I mean, seriously, like those people, like the actors that played the mercenaries, they must have had fun with that. Like they,
Yeah.
they knew that they were hired for exactly that reason to like almost be stereotyped as the villains.
I mean, yeah, I mean they're just
I,
outright like evil, and fully lean into that. I mean the one who who has um who has sex after killing the people, like she's just like, I love shooting them. This is so much fun. Like it's so
that's
over
what
the
she says
top.
to the
It's
school.
great.
That's what she says when she shoots it towards the school in
She's like,
that
oh
one
yeah,
show we
she's
talked
like,
about.
I
Like,
I want to shoot
I want to
something.
shoot. Yeah, that's the kind of villains that are in this movie. But it's so funny because they own it. They own
Yeah.
it. They're not ashamed of it. Small another small thing I don't want to forget to mention the guitar guy or like
Oh,
I
he's great.
don't assuming that was a guitar, I wasn't sure exactly what instrument, but when the music started playing in the house, when they're like moving the suitcase, I was like, this soundtrack is so casual. It literally just sounds like someone's just sitting like strumming away at the guitar, and then they show that guy literally doing
Yeah.
that. And and he provides soundtrack for scenes. He'll just like be playing the guitar and like lead a character's exit for a scene. And like it was so funny him just being there and
Yeah,
just
he
playing the
was great.
guitar.
When he made fun of the two Brazilians who were riding the
Yeah.
motorcycles was hilarious. I mean, I don't know how I translated it in the English subtitles, but the song he sang was hilarious.
I was wondering as well about that. The English subtitles didn't do any of the music when the mayor came. Was the song that was playing just like a regular Brazilian song, or was
No,
it something that was like talking about him?
it was a campaign song, like vote for me and whatnot and blah
Ah,
blah blah. Yeah,
got it. I figured it must be something like that.
yeah.
Makes that
The
moment even more funny.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's great. I love I love that scene because he just comes and like everyone hides from him. He's trying to talk to them. Everyone's like, "Fuck off, get out of here!" You,
Yeah. What is yeah, it's hilarious that he like tries to just play the mayor part and like no one is having any of it.
yeah,
And he's literally just talking to an empty town. It's like
yeah,
these people don't like you. They don't want you here.
yeah. It's great. It's honestly, I think it's a really good movie to watch if you're not Brazilian to like understand Brazilian
It's
filmmaking. It's really cool. I really I had a ton of fun and it seems like you really enjoyed it as well. So.
Yeah, I like I said, like a little slow start. I do wish they'd trim the runtime down because I don't think they quite needed it.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny to say that of a 2-hour movie, but like on paper, there's not too much plotting, and but it's so fun to watch, and the actors are so charismatic, and it just works.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well,
well,
what you go?
another completely random thing that I gotta that I gotta say, I can't believe the movie starts in space and just like
Yeah.
the opening logos starting with like the stars,
The
just
stars,
that
yeah.
shot
And then we
of
see a
Earth that just
satellite, and then we zoom into Brazil.
that was hilarious. I couldn't believe they opened the movie that way, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's
It
just so
was
much of that, so much
it was
personality and
it
charm.
was funny. One of the things you said, like, "Oh, it starts with the credits for all the actors." I already love this movie. Like,
Well,
uh,
I love opening titles. I love, like, closing credits became so popular and, like,
uh-huh.
every opening titles are often stylized, it's a good example, but the Deadpool movies do that, but, like,
Mhm.
I miss the old Hollywood days where they just basically played the end credits at the beginning of the
Uh-huh.
movie and just acknowledged all the macro filmmakers, like, it's fun when movies do that.
Yeah. It does give you a little bit more of like a sense of the people involved, because at the end of the movie you're just like, "Oh, I'm going to turn the movie off now. The movie's over." But when you're
Yeah,
about to
feels
watch,
like
you're
more of
like,
an
"Okay,
afterthought.
you know, it is a it's there's a weird psychology behind the way opening and end credits work, but yeah." But I don't know. Do we have much more to say? I think we covered the movie pretty well. Been going on
I
for
think we
40
did,
minutes.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's a movie I really enjoy. I recommend watching. If you're an American proud of being American, you probably won't like it, but it's whatever.
I mean, real talk. I think it's all like done in good faith. It's not mean spirited at
Hmm.
all. It's a movie with a story, just like any others. I'd hope everyone could appreciate it. So
Yeah. And well, yeah. I think that's pretty good for today. It's I really recommend watching this movie though. It's not that hard to find, right? You bought it on Prime Video, right?
yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. It looked good, and it's yeah. Check it out if you've never heard of it. It's and don't look anything up. It's obviously we've spoiled things. Hopefully, like maybe you take the recommendation if you missed it, but like it's really, all you need to know is, like, matriarch of a town just dies, and then weird shit starts going down in the town.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically the premise of the movie, and they keep you guessing till they reveal who the bad guys are, and it's just and then from there, it's just a Western showdown, so it's don't look anything up because it's not q there's not too much that's quite like it.
Yeah. All right. Well, so Evan, you already know what I'm about to say, because we've been planning this for a while. But usually you would recommend something because I recommended something last week. But both of us, we just finished watching a TV show called Utopia. So here's the thing: original Utopia, fun, great, awesome, really cool and stuff. And then I was like, "Hey, Evan, do you want to watch the remake? Because I've watched that remake. You know, it's Gillian Flynn. I know you like Gillian Flynn." And
Well,
so,
that was what was so funny. I've talked about this. I thought that the Gillian Flynn Utopia was the original. I just assumed it because Gillian Flynn was attached, and then like, no, that's not. That's the awful one that she.
yeah, so the remake wasn't great. So what we're gonna do next week is talk about the two utopias, the good utopia and the American Gillian Flynn utopia. And
I
so, yeah,
I forever feel like calling it that ever since I like American Utopia. Like, there's so many titles with just American in it, like American Psycho. And I'm like, that's American Utopian.
it is very American. That's one of my biggest issues with the show.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about that, like, how much they just, like, suck the British out of the original story. It's like, God damn it. Whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, that'll be an interesting comparison, and I'm sure it'll be a longer episode than we usually go
Ye-
on for because we will have a lot to talk about.
Yeah. And Oh yeah, just remember because we're recording this on Boxing Day, but this episode's gonna come out in the new year, isn't it? Or hold on.
Yeah, this
Oh
should
yeah,
well,
Wednesday is the first, so it will be uploaded on the first of January of 2025. So happy New Year, folks! Thank you very much for your
happy
support.
New Year.
Yeah, this year has been a lot of fun with this
Seriously,
podcast. Yeah,
absolutely. Seriously, this has been amazing doing this. Like, really nice part to just do this weekly, and we've kept it up. Like
yeah,
we've done well to make it a consistent thing. So
yeah. I think
I'd
we only
I'd hope
missed one
people,
week, even through all my computer problems that
yeah,
Evan has
and
heard about.
sickness and disease. Like you got ill a couple of times. So
Yeah,
yeah. Oh my god.
but we've kept it up, and so yeah, it's been a ton of fun, and we will hope to continue doing it for 2025 too. It'll be great, and
Indeed, it will.
yeah. So yeah, I think that's it for today, folks. We'll catch y'all next time with the good utopia and bad utopia, and I feel bad saying that, but it is just a good version and a bad version of the same story. But yeah, we'll catch y'all next week. Happy New Year, and I hope you had a very jolly Merry Christmas too.
Indeed. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas, all.
Bye bye.